Well, good afternoon, Yakima Downtown Rotary. Thank you for coming today. We are going to be doing a little sound check and visual check. Looks like everything's checking out. Our program is coming in by Zoom today, so some different our technology has to be just right. I want to thank our greeters today. I think it was Scott Byers and Chuck Stillwagon. Thank you for greeting us. So our music today, we'll start off with music, and it has a fermentation theme. We'll wait just a minute, see if we can bring that up. On your tables, there are some little sheets, little strips that have the lyrics to a song that's going to hopefully be playing. If not, we might have to bring Doug Rich up here to lead us in a cappella, but okay, I think we are getting it set. So grab those sheets, and when the instrumentalist says sing along, let's all stand up. We're going to stand up and sing along because we're going to roll out the barrel. Here we go.
Well, hello there, my Donovan and Heron.
Yeah.
My name is Jason Davis, and this is my polka band, West Coast Bros. We're going to do a little number for you that I think you might know. So if you're sitting at home, sing along with us. Here's the beer barrel polka.
Okay, here we go, folks. Hold out the barrel. We'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel. You'll hear the news of them run. Bring things on the road. The barrel till the gang's all here. Roll out the barrel. We'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel. We'll have a barrel of run. We have a barrel. Sing on the barrel of noise. Roll that barrel. On the gang's all. Hey! Well done, Yakima Rotary. You can sit down now if you'd like. I knew you couldn't sit down for that one, right? All right, Dottie Hildebrand will take us down, slow us down a little bit, maybe make it a little bit more contemplative with our invocation.
I hope. Gosh, that's something to follow. Okay, I do have something very near and dear to my heart to share with you guys. It has in honor of Veterans Day that we were just celebrating, as well as Thanksgiving. And it's a letter from a soldier, a prayer really, from World War II. Can you hear me? Okay, there we go. Blue Heart recipient, the author of Cannon Fodder, and my favorite father-in-law. So he wrote this to family, his Thanksgiving prayer, and it did turn out to be his last Thanksgiving before he passed away of cancer. But as we're sitting here with Rotary, might we extend family to our Rotary family as well? So I'd like to read this to you. This is written in 1996. While this holiday in America was unique among the nations, and for the most part still is, these days we seem to be reminded, and we should be thankful to our families, relatives, friends, and even the turkey. While these are important things, they are but side effects. The reason for this day is the giving of thanks to our Creator for providing the feast ingredients, and this has been so since the days of the Pilgrims. Included in that is the blessing of having been born in this last best hope on this planet. God is not only the ultimate provider of the food we eat, but of love and freedom. This took root and flourished in America nowhere else in the world. Whether this is my last Thanksgiving or another in years to come, I feel compelled to thank God for the presence of family. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to offer thanks for this great day in our country. Thanks to you, the author of love, liberty, and the food you so graciously provide. Lord, I ask you to watch over this family, those who are here and those who are with you and those who are to come. Thank you for the gift of life, happiness that you have showered upon us, many of which we promptly forget. Forgive us for the sin of forgetfulness and grant us a great day. In the name of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, James E. Hildebrand.
So at this time, if we have any guests here today, would you mind standing so we can see you and acknowledge your presence? And thank you for being here. All right. This is the third week of Native American Heritage Month. And before I read the land acknowledgement, I'm going to ask Irene. Does Irene hear me back there? Irene is wearing some Native American clothing. And if do you have a moment where you could just stroll along the side here? And I don't know that she knew she'd be modeling today, but thank you for showing that off to us. And you can make the circle. As she finishes her stroll around the room, I will read the land acknowledgement. The practice of land acknowledgement represents a commitment to a culture of inclusion that begins with recognizing the indigenous peoples of the Confederated Tribes and Bands of the Yakima Nation. We acknowledge the indigenous peoples who are the original inhabitants of the lands that our community is built on today and pay our respect to their tribal members, past and present. I will say last night was the Historical Perspectives presentation at YVC Convention Center. Tom Zielman was a presenter who's the husband of Rebecca Pennell, thank you. Very interesting discussion or presentation about land grants, not land grants, but land acknowledgements on the Yakima Reservation, the original treaty, and I don't know, just some very interesting history. So I encourage you in the future, as these historical perspectives sessions are provided, to take the time to come listen, because I think you will learn something about the history of our area. So we are coming up to Thanksgiving next week, but just beyond that is the start of the Christmas holiday season, and with that is a Rotary tradition that we've carried on for I don't know how many decades, and that is the Salvation Army Red Kettle Rotary Bell Ringing Campaign. We're signed up again this year for dates December 5th through the 10th. That's a Monday through Saturday. We have 4 locations, the same 4 we've had in the last many, many years. And that works out to about 96 shifts over the period of a week. And on your tables, there are sign-up sheets. So if you want to get the location and the time that you typically strive for in previous years. You have your opportunity to be the first to sign up. Next week, after Thanksgiving, I suspect it's going to be after, well, maybe first part of next week before Thanksgiving, Carolyn might have the online schedule available. So watch for that if you're not able to sign up today. But it is important that we sign up, because when we come back on December 1st, we come back in December. We leave here today and we come back in December. And our kickoff for that campaign is on the 5th. So it's only 4 days after our next meeting. So please think about signing up, and you'll probably get some emails in the meantime. Just to let you know, we raised $15,000 last year during our week-long campaign. Yeah. We took the highest number of shifts in the Northwest Territory for the Salvation Army. Aaron Ruff was at our board meeting this morning, and he informed us that we were the greatest. So we need to do it again, and so please sign up. Right now, we're going to do something we've done a few times in the past, and that is we're going to do a Rotary speed interview. So select a table spokesman. Pick out the person who's going to speak for your table. Everybody's found a spokesman. Okay, give me a little time to figure out who the most eloquent person at your table is. And here is our challenge today. Here's our challenge today. The Rotary auction theme is Game On. The dress is formal with a touch of whimsy, which is defined as unusual, funny, playfully quaint, or fanciful behavior. So I'm going, many of you are going, and many of you may be wondering, what is whimsy? So I need your help, and maybe others in the room who are going to the event need your help too, to find out what is whimsy and how are we going to apply it in our dress and attire at the auction. So your challenge right now is to discuss whimsy and come up with some ideas of what that might be. So your time starts now.
So you've got a whole list for me?
Oh, no, we already figured it out.
Oh, my socks. Yeah,
There you go.
I got some. That's mine too so far. I gotta have more than that. You can't see the socks. Oh, yes. How we doing? How we doing? You got some whimsy? Okay, got some whimsy?
We're about there.
This crowd needs whimsy. Oh, my golly. No, this crowd.
We're all pretty.
What are we doing? You need to come up with ideas of how to dress in a whimsical style.
Oh, well.
I would look, see, if anybody could come up with a Drew can.
No.
Oh, my golly. This is a tough crowd.
What do you want to know?
What's whimsy?
Only wearing tennis shoes. That's it.
I think that's beyond whimsy. Okay.
All right, how we doing on the whimsy? All right, we're going to find out what that means. Lorna, do you want to choose the most intelligent table? Oh, you found it. Okay. Spokesman Jim Berg.
Good afternoon. Okay, we have six options. One is tennis shoes, originally said for men, but after more we talked about it, it could be for both. A boa, a tiara, a crown, a spinning bow tie, or feathers. And Carter suggested that as it relates to certain men, you could have a feather comb over.
Como?
All right. I think I sense something at this table right here. Who is the spokesman? Amy, let me get over to Amy here.
We've been discussing this as a group for weeks now. So here's what we've come up with. Chuck Taylor's letter jackets, letter sweaters, boas, feathers, little things for your hair, like little kitty cat ears. What else did we say? Oh, a cape. And I'm really loving that cape option. You might see me in a cape that night. I think that's it.
Very good. Now, Randy, I saw you shaking your head when she listed those items. But the ears, just the ears, okay. All right, I'm going to come to this table right here. Oh, Lauren, no, Lorna's turn, sorry.
You're on the spot, Mike.
Well, let's see. John wouldn't fess up to what he has something in mind. In fact, nobody actually confessed as. Well, I was just feeling out the table here because I realized I'm kind of stuck with doing something as neckwear, and I realized, oh yeah, I have a fairly whimsical bolo tie. I inherited it from my grandfather. It's solid ivory, carved beautifully. Whoa. But it happens to be two polar bears copulating.
I would tell that whimsical.
You tell me, appropriate taste for the evening or not? I think not, but.
I think it should.
And he's sitting at my table, so I'm looking forward, maybe I'm not looking forward to it. Okay, we have a table right here.
There you are.
I get to follow that. Okay, some of these are going to be repeats, but we have feather boa, crowns, big hats, colorful, carefree attitude. See, you can bring that. That's easy. Sparkles and sequins. Fun hairdo, fun hair color, fun footwear, especially for the gentlemen, fancy, fun ties.
All right, gentlemen listening. Okay, one more. Marta? I knew that was going to be a tough table over there. I knew it. Oh, this is, I don't want to hear. Ooh.
We didn't discuss this at all, so I just said just only wearing tennis shoes.
So only wear tennis shoes. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh.
All right, maybe we have one more. Let's see. This looks like a pretty good subject table right here. Oh, we have a scribe. Jim DeGrasse.
Well, we came up with the same things, but I think the one that Brad came up with, he's thinking he's going to be the most flamboyant at the auction, and he's suggesting that maybe he's going to wear his underwear on the outside. So we'll see whether that works out or not. Yeah, and then my deal is just the fact that for me, whimsical is just getting a suit on at all, because I don't wear a suit. So yeah, that's all we've got.
All right. Well, I'm going to suggest that Brad and Mike Maples do not sit together. All right. Thank you very much. I got some ideas out of that. I've already got socks. Bob Gerst, do you want to stand up and show us your socks? Or you can come up here. Oh, come on up. We have a little time. We can show you off. Let's see those socks.
This is whimsical.
Okay, well done. You ought to see the orange shirt, the orange suit with it. That should be good. All right, thank you very much. Sergeant of Arms, Doug Rich.
President, thank you. You guys, oh geez, he's tall. Well, welcome everybody. I was sitting around when I found out I had Sergeant at Arms today. I was trying to think of what I could talk about today on November 17th, and I decided to take a little inspiration from President Rick, who always comes up with a national whatever it is day, but he didn't have anything today. So I went ahead and did a little bit of research about what is significant about November 17th. Did you know that it is Take a Hike Day? Did you realize that? But so, and in Canada, of course, it's known as Take Off a Day. Today is also the Great American Smokeout. So if any of you have ever quit a tobacco product and kept it off for the rest of your life, please raise your hand if you've given up a tobacco product, and then have the person to your left pay $1 on your behalf. Congratulations. Today is also Less Stuff Day, which is a day where you purge all things that are unnecessary. So I ask that all of you purge your $1 from your wallet and kindly hand it to the Sergeant at Arms representative nearest to you. Well, I don't know about that. We'll see, but it was actually not Less Stuff Day. Well, and what famous things happened today on November 17th? I know our speaker is just down the road, but in 1858, the city of Denver, Colorado was founded. And did you know that if you add up 18 and 58 together, you get 76, which coincidentally is the same number of offensive yards per game gained by the Denver Broncos during the Russell Wilson era. So, it's all true. That's right. Okay. 1973 was another famous November 17th. We're right in the middle of the Watergate scandal, and Nixon muttered his famous lines to a bunch of reporters, "I am not a crook." But what they didn't talk about is that evening before he went to bed, he came up with this prayer before he fell asleep. My fellow God, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my tapes to keep. If I should die before I awake, please blame it all on Watergate. Thank you, God. So there you go. And while we're on politics, in 2003, Arnold Schwarzenegger took over the governor's mansion in the state of California. But a lot of people, they might recognize him as a famous politician and a movie star. But what you didn't know was he was actually Mr. Olympia and Mr. Universe growing up in Austria, a very famous bodybuilder that really exploded that on the scene. Okay, I've got a 4-way test for the guys here. If during the COVID era, you ever posed in your underwear in front of a full-length mirror and said, "Yeah, I still got it. Pay $1. And finally, we'll close with the, come on, you know who you are. The mirror cracked, right? 1993 finally is our last famous November 17th. And this was when the North American Free Trade Agreement was signed, NAFTA, as you all know it. So if you've ever eaten a taco or used maple syrup, pay $1. And if you ever poured maple syrup onto your taco before consumption, please pay $2. That'll do.
I'm going to invite our speaker introductor. Is that right? Bob, roll out the barrel, Gerst. I have to say that music today brought a little tear to this hop guy's eyes. So thank you for that. We are very excited today that we have Jeff Callaway as our speaker. Jeff is coming to us from Fort Collins.
And I forgot to ask Jeff this morning if he got any snow, but I know that, in the Denver area, they did. Jeff completed his graduate work at Colorado State University, developing a rapid detection test for Listeria monocytogenes. I'm a beer guy. I'm not a scientist. Come on. Rather than focusing on the bad bugs, I can say that one, Jeff decided to follow his passion for the good organisms that ferment food and beer. Before getting involved with the fermentation science and technology program, he oversaw the startup of the biotech company MS Biotech, including the production facility and laboratory. He is presently involved in the startup of the Fermentation Science and Technology Program, where his overarching goal is to help bridge the gap between academia and industry. What a huge task that's going to be. Jeff's vision is to see an institute that zippers together experts from the fermentation industry with experts from CSU to idealize the land grant mission of education, research, and outreach. Jeff spends his non-working time with his family, primarily coordinating with his wife on shuttling their kids around, various outdoor activities, and this should put the fear of God in you, and as a co-founder and owner of Foco BJJ, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy. Jeff Callaway is here with us today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. I think that means I'm up. So here I go. I will say, yeah, it is actually snowing right now. So usually I'd be wearing a collar and look a little nicer for you all, but I'm in the corner of an old building and it's cold in this office. So I'm enjoying the snow, but staying warm. So today I'm tasked to give 25 minutes talk here about our program. I will say, as someone with a lot of German heritage, I appreciate the Teutonic nature of the Rotary and being super on time. So just a shout out. It's something I don't get to enjoy in a campus environment all that much. But anyway, thanks again for the invite. And here to tell you a little bit about our program and how we are training the next generation of fermentation scientists. So first, what I want to talk about, a little bit about the history of the program, the faculty and the personnel that we have. Really, it's people that make things run, right? And I think as Rotarians, right, it's about the people more than the processes and the ideas. It takes people to execute these things. The current status, where we are in a program, what it looks like, touch on our curriculum briefly, talk about the collaborations and partnerships, and then leave it with where we hope to go. And then if I do this right, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A if that works, if there's somebody to sort of translate between the real world where you are and this virtual world that I'm hanging out in. So briefly, there's always a lot of stories and a lot of history. I will say that I can spend hours talking about all of this stuff. So 25 minutes is a tall order, but at the highest level, right, kind of at the lunar level, the program really kind of has its inception in 2005 when we had a faculty member known affectionately as Crazy Jack, who created a brewing science and technology course at the behest of a couple of graduate students. A lot of history there. I was involved pretty early on, but suffice it to say that that course, that single elective course, had a significant impact where it led to the creation of the program that we have now. We are in the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition in the College of Health and Human Sciences. So just having like a beer only program wasn't really palatable at that time. And so we did go more broad with a fermentation science and technology program. So fermented foods and beverages. We're not looking at industrial, corn ferments and biofuels and stuff. So fermented foods and beverages. At that time too, probiotics, prebiotics, that stuff was all pretty new and bubbling up on the radar. Takes a lot of years to get anything done on campus. So many years of paperwork to where actually January 2013 is when our Board of Governors approved the program. It was asked that the program begin in the fall of 2014. But this is a case where one time something did actually happen quickly on campus and they fast-tracked the program. So approved in January, and rather than starting in the fall of 2014, they wanted us to start in the fall of 2013. Not to air too much dirty laundry, but they funded us, but much like happens with our federal government, they approved us, but did not fund us. So we were tasked to start a year earlier than we wanted, and with very little to no money. So again, hours of stories there. But as I highlighted, the intent of the program is to be broader than brewing. So the roots were in brewing. That was a lot of the industry involvement that we had. But we did want to highlight food and beverage fermentation and tie that into the internal fermentation as well. So again, the gut health area. In terms of our primary goals, right, I think they're easily summed up with our mission and vision, which I will say, was written many years ago and was a little bit of a political process. So I am looking to revisit this here in the future. But right now, our mission is to provide a high quality education that results in employment in the fermentation industry or entry into a graduate level academic program. So go get a job or keep learning, pretty straightforward. But then also to work pretty collaboratively across Colorado State University and the industry to provide services, research and development opportunities to the food and beverage fermentation industry. So we want to work with partners across campus, which you would think is easy and straightforward, but it's not, and industry as well. And when I say industry, I'm not just talking about breweries or distilleries. It's really everything in that entire supply chain, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And then our vision is to become a premier transdisciplinary education and research food and beverage fermentation program that operates collaboratively with industry. So you're seeing a lot about transdisciplinary industry collaboration, especially at that time, right? We were trying to break out of silos and make sure that we were not pigeonholed into being one sort of thing, which was a lot of our conversations with industry and a lot of the needs at the time. And then in the picture there, from field to foam is the catchphrase that we use from the program. Again, capturing that entire supply chain. So as a land grant university, right, everything starts in the land somewhere. So yeast, hops, malt, barley, even water, right? All these things are coming, some field, some ground somewhere. And it's up to us as food scientists and fermentation scientists to make it foam, in the right way. So, and prepare the next generation of fermentation science artisans, as that sign says. So who we are, again, the people, we're actually at our fourth department head. We started with an interim department head when the program was approved, and then had a long-term department head who I worked with for a long time, who recently retired. We had an interim again for a year, and now Dr. Chris Gentile has just taken over, and I look forward to working with him to continue to grow the program. And then HR, business officers. So again, the money and the people, right? So I want to highlight, again, the people that allow us to operate. From a faculty standpoint, we have Doctors Marisa Bunning, Kim Cox-York, Sarah Johnson, Tiffany Weir, and then Charlene Van Buiten, who are covering everything from food safety, food science sort of stuff, fermentation, microbiology, gut health, traditional food science. So these people all teach classes that our FST students are taking. Their actual involvement in the FST program specifically varies, but at a minimum, they're teaching in the program. We have key industry faculty, so that this list changes kind of depending. We've had a handful of people. A big part of the program is a high level of industry involvement. So yeah, absolutely, people coming in and giving guest lectures, giving tours at their locations, those sort of things, but also hiring people from the industry to develop and teach some of our classes. And we're very fortunate in living in an area where there's a ton of expertise. I've had up to 4 classes at one time taught by these outside industry faculty. So one, Floris DeLay, is a world-renowned brewing engineer. Comes from Belgium, but he lives here. His wife at one point was the COO and then the CEO of New Belgium. He was one of the original brewers at New Belgium. If you watch Brew Dogs, a show on the Discovery Channel, he was the head brewer at Dogfish Head when they did that episode. He'd done an expansion out there, and he was actually living here, but still their head brewer. Again, hours of stories, but he still remains heavily involved in the program. He teaches our engineering class, basically. He does a lot of work in Belize and Costa Rica. He has a lab in Panama, and he maintains a lot of connections and responsibilities in Belgium and Europe. So he's a guy you want to take a class from for a lot of reasons. And then Chris McCombs teaches our food production operations class. Basically, this is our business class. Chris has been in the industry for a long time, starting in Montana, and then has cycled around. He was a brewer out on the East Coast for a long time. He was one of the engineers at New Belgium through a lot of their growth and expansion. And then he was a consultant and then full-time at Red Rocks Brewing in Nevada. And now he's the head brewer at Cooper Smith's, a very old brew pub here in town, one of the first in Fort Collins. So he teaches our students and is introducing them to business principles and running through how to think about your production, but again, from the business standpoint. It's not all, science and enzymes and biochemistry. There's, as a going concern, you have to make money and think about things that way as well. And then the actual core part of the FST program, we have Jeff Biegert, who was one of our industry faculty for a while. He's been in the industry longer than the majority of our students have been alive, starting at the East Coast. And then he came out and was working with Avery before, over 20 years ago, signing up at New Belgium. And then he came and joined us at CSU. Again, a lot of backstories and how he was here, but kind of as the program was taking shape, he was helping with that original brewing science class, sort of a brewer on loan. He was the third iteration that New Belgium had provided an expert to help us run the labs, and we've not been able to get rid of him since. But Jeff is fantastic. So he's at a point now where New Belgium was first just loaning him to kind of come teach oversee a lab on one of the classes. And now New Belgium has sponsored his position. So we split his salary, but New Belgium donates their portion to us. So we get him nearly full time. So he teaches our brewing science 1 and 2 class, and then is our brewmaster. So we have some facilities where we're actually selling beer. So he's overseeing that as well. Charlie Hawksmeyer actually just moved into this category. Historically, he's been in that industry instructor standpoint. Charlie is one of the few people you'll meet who's actually a native of Fort Collins. They're pretty rare around here. A lot of people moving in, as you may imagine. But his family has been at CSU for a very long time. Charlie got his PhD here a long time ago and considers himself a recovering academic. After his postdoc and time working at the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, he opened a brewery, Gilded Goat, sold a bunch of his Bitcoin and invested money when it made sense. And he's one of the co-founders and head brewers of Gilded Goat, but he couldn't stay away. So he started out assisting some of our graduating seniors with their senior projects, and then slowly has been taking on more responsibility, took over a class that I had asked him to teach. And actually, as of November 1st, we've hired him as an assistant professor, where he now oversees our fee-for-service labs, which do a number of things, and continues to teach, and obviously has the ability to brew as well, and of course hire our students. His 2 brewers right now are just graduated from the program last spring, so another awesome connection. And then I didn't introduce myself. Bob did a great job, but so I'm the associate director of the program. And basically, it's been my job to do a lot of the fundraising, the development. I teach a number of classes, hire people, kind of keep everything going. Just all the other things, right? Wear all the hats that aren't being picked up, and or try to find people to wear hats or funding to get people into those hats. So more or less my role. And then we have graduate students that, although we don't have a specific graduate program in the fermentation science technology program, we've had these graduate students who have been around for quite a long time, and are a key part of the program. So Kate Clark and John Wilson have taken a majority of the classes that we offer as students, helped TA them, and then in a number of cases, teach them or co-teach them. So they're both working on their PhDs now. Kate is working on a sourdough project, the sourdough bread, and then John Wilson, for his master's here with us, was working on gluten-free beer and flavor development, and now as a PhD student is actually working on edible insects as a source for protein, and he's actually fermenting mealworms and making tempeh with mealworms. So it's one of those things that churns a lot of stomachs, and people are very highly questioning of, but one of those things that tastes fantastic. You maybe just don't want to look at it if you have a squeamish stomach. But John brings a wealth of knowledge, and actually he's came up through the liberal arts world, was in Africa, spent a lot of time in Africa with the USDA and then various NGOs, and fermentation was just something he kept coming to and finding that's how you could build community, and looking at historical fermentation practices. So he just brings a fantastic wealth of knowledge. Everybody connects super well with John. So we're fortunate to have these graduate students helping us, and maybe one day, joining us in a more permanent capacity. Currently, the FST program is in its 19th semester. So I think I called, the program a startup. We're coming up on 10 years here pretty quick, which, for most businesses and most things like that, that's pretty established. A human being at 10 is a totally sentient creature, full-blown human. Being on campus, 10 years is still relatively young for us, but we're definitely, well into that toddler stage or beyond. So we are a known entity, of course, on campus, but CSU started in 1870, so relatively still young, but we are very present now, right? We're definitely here to stay. Enrollment, this is one of the areas where I am not always fully aligned with our college or the university, but the department and the department heads have always supported me in not just trying to have as many students as absolutely possible. So we have we're a very practical program, very applied, a lot of hands-on, a lot of lab time, as you'll see here in a second. So our enrollment's usually between 65 and 150. My sweet spot for the program is about 100, give or take 20. Maybe we'll grow that in the future, but I'm definitely of the quality over quantity standpoint. So nobody's hassling me too much about growing enrollment too much, but we are actually at a point where after kind of COVID drop-offs and a number of other reasons, we're just now starting to advertise the program and look at targeting and recruitment. But that's a very new thing for us. From a laboratory standpoint, we've been building out for the last 10 years. We have the Gifford kitchen that I'll show you, which is, actually I don't have pictures of the Gifford kitchen. So we have a kitchen space on campus that as the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition, who also has hospitality management, we have, and historically our college was basically the home ec college. So we've had a kitchen, our building was built in the 70s, but it very much our old kitchens were like, I can't remember, 6 or 8 little individual kind of home looking kitchens. Again, very home ec feel, and it had a very 50s kind of Betty Crocker, like, honey, the roast is ready, with the whole get up, the whole thing. And it very much had that vibe and that feel. With the approval of this program, we used some of the funds we did actually get, or the department got rather, to renovate that kitchen to make it more modern. So, stainless steel. We have some fermentation chambers, so we can make things like tempeh and natto. that are equatorial, things that don't make sense in Colorado. So a great space for everybody in the department. The Ramskeller Brew House, I'll show you a little bit more. And then the New Belgium Brewing, Fermentation Science and Technology Laboratory, which within that broader space, we have the Innovation Hub and Brew Kitchen, powered by Odell Brewing, Emerson, and New Belgium. Also the Anheuser-Busch Foundation Quality Laboratory, as well as a sensory kitchen and laboratory. And we also have a malt testing lab. And I ramble, I can talk for way too long, so I'm gonna go a little quicker here. But quick visuals. So the Anheuser-Busch Foundation Quality Lab, I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but the image on the left here is more the analytical room. So we have a student here, one of our student interns, running some alcohol analysis. We have a bunch of analytical instrumentation. So for fermented foods and beverages, right, we can quantify, a bunch of chemical analyses. And then back here in this little window is this room. It's on the right. This is the microbiology room. So this is where we're isolating, identifying, propagating various microbes. And then on the other side of the wall, we have our malt lab. So this is actually not a big student space. This is part of that being a land-grant university, the service and outreach. We generate all the components for a COA or a certificate of analysis for maltsters. Not the sexiest room, but there's actually pretty high-end, very specific equipment in here. And is one of the ways that we're serving the industry. On the sexier side, in the Innovation Hub and Brew Kitchen, powered by Odell, Emerson, and New Belgium, we actually have two 50-liter brewing systems here. So we have, again, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but a mash mixer that sits up high. And again, that's so we can avoid a pump and use gravity to move mash into a louder ton. Again, I could say more than I'm going to because I'll take up all the time, but a kettle and then a whirlpool, and then hoses will be run down to, on the left there is a picture of the cellar. So we have fermentation tanks and bright tanks, both 50-liter, and then we also have 1 hectoliter tanks as well. So this is kind of the research and education side where students are first getting to apply what they've learned, and then they can step up into the Ramskeller brew house. So 20 times larger. This is Jeff Biegert and I mashing in the first batch in September of 2018. But a ton of industry involvement to help us build this facility, commercially licensed, and we're making beer for sale here, and the students are involved there. Our curriculum is so scientifically rigorous. This is not just the beer degree or just making beer, drinking beer, all that sort of stuff. Students are taking things like chemistry, organic chemistry, biochemistry, microbiology, physics, right? And actually the most challenging courses are the brewing specific courses, the brewing processes, and then the actual application courses. And even though we're not a brewing program, brewing is the model that we're using, but all of those skills are translatable to other industries. Certainly food and beverage manufacturing, but I would say broadly just production and manufacturing. A lot of industry involvement, as I kind of highlighted before, and really it's kind of applying education to industrial situations. So I really like this image that I stole from from Flores, who I mentioned earlier. His company uses this, but kind of peeling back, whatever this product is, and just seeing all the technology behind it, which again kind of ties into our field to foam idea. And I do like to highlight that it's fermentation science and technology. So there's a lot of modern technology as well as traditional methods to make a number of these products. Collaborations and partnerships, we do a lot with industry across the entire supply chain, and then across CSU as well. Sometimes it's making beer, and there's a number of other ways that we're working with various colleges, whether it's supporting their students or whatever. We are very busy with being interdisciplinary and collaborative. And I do want to highlight our industry partners, and again, just showcasing that it's not just the manufacturing facilities, it's the engineering companies, the flooring companies, the chemical companies, the raw material suppliers, all those that really support us, because it's not the university giving us money. It's actually the industry that's supporting us and helping us so that we can generate our own revenue to continue to support ourselves. and then our students in the industry. So the last thing I'll say is kind of originally we saw the program as 3 phases. We've completed only fairly recently, actually, the implementation of the degree and all of the physical build outs. Again, lots of stories, but currently, we're in that phase of expanding curriculum, becoming a nationally and internationally recognized program, increasing faculty, looking at graduate programs and doing research. And in the future, maybe it's an institute, international collaborations. There's a lot of things. There's a lot I could say here to what's happening in the future, but I'll spare the time since we have maybe a minute and a half, if possible, for if there's a question or two. And otherwise, and I don't know if anyone's going to come ask or however, but thank you. Maybe you can see now how I could easily go for hours, but appreciate your attention.
Well, Jeffrey, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions. Charlie Robin, we'll get a mic over to you very quickly, though you sometimes don't need a mic, I know.
All right. Was wondering when you have the sort of named relationships like you do, like you mentioned with Anheuser-Busch, what are you doing in terms of relationship building, whether it be internships, job placements? How else are you working with the corporate entities in terms of the students post-academic? How does that involvement work?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, you saw names like Anheuser-Busch, actually the Randstad Brewhouse has a lot of involvement from Molson Coors, a lot from New Belgium, Odell, and a number of other companies. So yes, we do research with those companies. A number of companies like New Belgium and Stranahan's, which make a whiskey, have actually changed their hiring practices to target our students. So yeah, our students are going in and doing internships, going and getting jobs, and then actually the alumni that go and work there support current students by acting as mentors, where our students in their senior year get to work with an industry mentor to solve real world problems and challenges. So we're working with companies in that way as well. So, and then all the stuff in the classroom. So really education, research, and then services. We're working with anybody and everybody that has an interest.
I have an off the wall question. Jeffrey, I don't know if this is something that is in your lane, but this week I received either email or maybe it was on Facebook or something. It came up in my email from another member by the name of John Cooper. And it says, new study says beer hops may affect Alzheimer's disease. I'm assuming that it helps to break up whatever it is in the brain that clogs it up. But I didn't know if this was directed to me specifically or whether this was a general comment. I don't know if you get into that in your research there.
Not specifically that, but yeah, hops have, especially when they're isomerized, a number of potentially health benefits. So you'll see a lot of like hop teas. Usually the alcohol outweighs the benefits that you're going to get from hops. But there are a number of, anti-cancer and health positive effects from hops. But so again, now you're seeing hops in kombucha, just hop teas, other ways to try to get those benefits without the drawbacks from the alcohol.
All right. All right. Any other questions for Jeffrey? All right, Jeffrey, thank you very much for flying in from Fort Collins, Colorado. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sounds like you have a great program going on there and helping the beer industry as well. So thanks again.
Come visit. Cheers. Have a great one.
Thank you. All right. I just want to say, well, Jeffrey took what away, but our speaker gift is a donation to the Rotary Foundation's Polio Plus campaign. I'm just going to give you a quick update on that campaign. 20 million or so people are walking because of vaccination efforts. Pakistan and Afghanistan are the only countries left where polio is endemic, but in small areas. Goal number one is a permanent end to transmission in the two countries. So that's what our contribution goes toward for every speaker that comes to Rotary. Upcoming programs. December 1st, Laura Crooks, speaking on Children's Village. So I'm excited to hear about what's going to be happening there. Some great news about the future of the village. And then December 8th, Shirley Yvonne, I don't know if that's pronounced right, but whose subject will be Quilts of Valor. So I'm going to look forward to finding out what that is all about as well. And next week, we do not have a meeting, so don't show up here and expect a turkey dinner. But please remember to sign up either at the table for bell ringing or be looking for a sign up online. Jim Berg asking a question. Oh, he's going to get fined, I think, at the next meeting. Big time. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our meeting. Thank you for being here. Have a great, for those of you who are attending the auction, I'm looking forward to seeing what your whimsy is, and have a great Thanksgiving. We're adjourned.